Be playful with your dimensions. Hello everyone. That is the title of this section. And what that really means, in a sense, is that in how we approach our conception in regards to its dimensions, regardless of how linearized or not for us, we have but our conception of space and time. All of this that is here, which has kept us here, is now being put under the spotlight. You see, once you write a sentence, the next sentence doesn't really want to be the same. However, you see that what doesn't want to be the same is not the sentence, is not even you, is simply the fact that you as a moment of existence are, in a sense, becoming aware of change. Any being who can observe the sort of change that is going on here is a very wise being. Because playfulness does not mean careless. We are playful with care, especially now. That's the pilot's view. And what playfulness means is that you have the ability to go through any task and do anything because it can be so playfully done. It's not even work for you, it is more play for you because it's so natural. And so when you keep that in mind, you realize that you need to adjust your scales of inspiration and then lift yourself up with real effort. In other words, do stuff that is real for you. So in other words, if you have never gone to the gym, suddenly saying, I want to go to the gym, means you have not had that reality. You have not been there that first week and kind of, I guess, fight the burn. You need to engage yourself with your environment in a way where you're not thinking about it a lot, but at the same time you're engaged in the action. So it doesn't mean that just because you've understood what, the value of meditation, you just meditate all day. No, it simply means that everywhere you go, you have a complete self-awareness to the existence that is present. That is simply it. And the way you do that needs to be playful because your sense of self is beginning with a solid one. You're not beginning with an unreal sense of self. You're beginning with a real sense of self. And so many people are believing the realness of the physical form more than the other one. So in other words, you have a solid sense of you, which then is engaging with itself with a sense of other. In other words, who is the first writer who has written that there is a you and there is a sense of other? Who has created that relationship? Once you become aware of it, there is no anarchy but a peaceful gaze into the construction and deconstruction that was never there. Once you see the vastness of your being, you cannot ignore experiences of bliss. You cannot ignore it. Once you have the vision, you will see. You will suddenly go in a moment and even sitting down will feel like flying to you. Every moment, your body, your observance, your orientation. So as you go into these states of complete allowance, and guys, allowance is the word which is really not being that highlighted in any self-help book you read. Because the whole point is you need to allow yourself to allow yourself. And when you think about that, there's nothing to think about, and immediately you're just in your presence. Guys, we actually experience the present moment a lot of the times, but we are not conscious of it because we're not acknowledging it. It's as if we are creating on and off switches for ourselves. It's no such thing. Regardless of the fluctuations of temporal reality, regardless of the seasons and the wheels of life that are simply spinning, you want to see that mankind has the idea of being aware of itself in a way that it is acknowledging more than itself. What really happens is that your orientation shifts once it also becomes real for you, that you can exist in the abstract. Once your existence is present there, it's as if we are not realizing the intensity of creators we are, because we have dulled down the intensity of physical life. Guys, every day you need to wake up, you need to feel that you have a certain time. And not in a bad way, in a very excited and playful way of time to do something before you sleep. That's it. So in that time frame, be very present and try to plant seeds. And what I mean by seeds is that if you can't have good actions, have good ideas. Good ideas are free. If you see there's something off with your life, take action to become aware of yourself from new frameworks of thought. And when I say new frameworks of thought, I'm just saying that so you just become more aware of yourself in a different sense of space and time orientation. For example, what I have noticed in beginning meditations that I would do was that at first there's a sense of you at first avoid who you think you are because you feel you're not that ideal. You will see that the first acknowledgement you have, if you even sat down to even begin meditating, is that why am I here? What does this mean? What is the value? I need to see the value before I invest. I need to see it to believe it. This is not believable. This is ridiculous. I'm wasting my time. And you're pulled away back into the very structured chaos. Not unstructured, but structured chaos, which is your daily routine. And what I mean by chaos is that there is a difference in beginning and waking up in the day as a person or as a presence. Waking up your presence is something very valuable that you can do, and you will realize also the value in the ability you have to answer your own problems in very interesting and beautiful ways. You can answer your problems. A while ago, there was this friend of mine, and I remember asking her a very abstract question, and she just looked at me and she said, "All answers are within." And before this idea, I had really absorbed the concept of within, but I didn't realize, in my mind, I understood what she meant by within. She meant don't ask something which is not received in this way. But I was also thinking, why then the physical presences in front of one another? Why am I there? Why is the thought there? Why did I say it? Do you see? Once you observe your past from the present, it's instantaneously being revalued constantly. You're constantly recreating your past. It's as if you have a collection of, infinite rocks. Okay, let's say a collection of infinite rocks, and you're constantly choosing your favorite ones, but constantly looking back, oh no, this wasn't my favorite one, these were, And it's because the objects that we create in memory dissolve into a sense of not even being existent if they're not looked at. You will see you have a great idea, but once you forget it, it's as if you're in a different room. You stepped out of the room you were in. And so that sensitivity really means that your orientation is dependent on the nature of your mind. So you need to be aware of the nature of your mind. But what this comes down to eventually is that the meditator has closed his eyes and the thought of him dissolves into his complete self-awareness, to the self-communication that is this moment of being. And it is silent, it is still, and it has a sense of emptiness, which many people call it, but I don't believe it's completely empty. Many people say you go into states of emptiness, and nothingness, I get that, but the way you actually go through it is based on something to nothing, To completely be nothing, you would not even have the ideas to communicate it. So in other words, what you don't know, really you don't know. But it doesn't mean the knowing there is. It's just that the you doesn't know. So in other words, a lot of seers recognized that the greatest truths they could reveal were the greatest aspects of their own self-transformation communicated in simple words. So you will see that it is no longer the sage who is speaking to you, but the life in his eyes. And the life that cannot be shaped but is present. When you acknowledge this idea, it is enormous. And you look at the enormity of your confusion. You look at how before your memory began to co-create, your senses of knowing were not through these bodies, but through bodies of different knowing. So in other words, your senses of reality are constantly, you're not just remembering things from one intensity of life. You're remembering the times where you got pushed. You're remembering the times where you were still, you're remembering all movements and all different flows, and all of these are really based on the sense of orientation you have with self. Because many people believe the power is still in other external reality. Nature is ruling man. And so man must survive. But when you look at the self as the origin of all that is, you will see you're constantly becoming aware of your thought process to a degree that that awareness is not the thought process. So you can be aware of nothing, As something, you're aware of nothing. You exist, so non-existence is your awareness. It is not formed, but it's there. Remember yourself, and it could not ever be named. Much blessings and namaste.